Okay, so I've been using the boost bottle on my bike for pretty much ever since I've had it, for 1,000 miles. So there's a lot of discrepancies, or disagreements rather, amongst people if it actually works. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration that shows that it does do something, and it's actually pretty impressive here. So I'm going to get the bike fired up here and then we'll take a look at it. Alright, so now that I got the bike running, we're going to do a quick demonstration. Now with the boost bottle, we're having a pretty decent idle here, but if I were to shut it off, the motor completely dies. Now, what happened there is when I cut off the extra flow from the boost bottle, it completely killed off the motor. Now I don't have any vacuum leaks with it, so that's not the case. But the deal is it's highly efficient. So as you saw, I didn't adjust the carburetor at all. And with the same amount of fuel that wouldn't even run this motor, that same amount of fuel will actually run the motor with the boost bottle installed, because it catches the excess fuel and feeds it back into the motor enough to even keep an idle, which you saw right there. So, and this is, my idle is adjusted just barely up, and if I run with the boost bottle capped off, I have to adjust my idle way up, and I go through a lot more fuel. So after 1,000 miles, and I ran 100 miles without the boost bottle, and I was not as fuel efficient. So with all that said, and what you just saw, you know, it's obvious that the boost bottle does do something. Is with the same amount of fuel going through the carburetor, the motor cannot even run without it. But with it, it can run on that minimal amount of fuel. So I'm going to fire it up again one more time, and we'll play around with that a little bit. So here we go. Alright, so here we are again. We're running pretty good. Now, we'll play around with our boost bottle sword here, and you can actually see the fuel that's being fed back in. You can actually see it vibrating in there, and that's helping the motor to run, believe it or not. So you can really see it right there. So when I shut that flow off, you can hear the idle drop. Really rich condition, I believe. Or it's leaning it out, excuse me. So very minimal fuel setting on the carburetor. And once again here, it comes back to life. No one's touching the throttle. And then if I hold it, it'll just completely kill the motor. Come on, there we go. So, you know, that's as good as that's the best way I could think to show that the boost bottle actually does work, because without it, the motor won't even run. So with the settings I have on the carburetor, but with it, it runs just fine, and I have everything set very, very lean. So on the carburetor at least, you know, hardly any idle adjustment at all, and it'll idle just fine. So anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. I really do seem to conserve a lot of fuel, but it seems like I do have pretty good down-low power with it. So I've been pretty impressed, and at about 1,100 miles on this bike, you know, I've got some pretty good ride time in and time to test it, and I definitely, if I build another one, I wouldn't be afraid to put it on there. So I think it's a good product. So that's my opinion on it.